So fun to be with you. I love RevU. It's such a great opportunity to be able to meet new people, to network with them, and to have an opportunity to learn together. So thanks for being here. Today, we're going to talk about mentoring as the workshop topic. Let me grab this. And success in mentoring. Now, let me just see by show of hands who has now who now has a mentor. Raise your hand if you have a mentor right now. Okay, so maybe a third of the audience. Okay, how many of you have been a mentor? Raise your hand. Interesting, about the same number. Okay, that's good. Let's see, do we have our mic runners? Yeah. Can we, just by show of hands, if you don't mind, those of you who raised your hand as either a mentor or as a mentee, can you just share like what was meaningful for you or why did you participate in it? Okay? Who's willing to raise their hand and share that? Go for it.
I'll stand. So I'm Steve Goodrick, Derrin Hill's executive assistant now. About a year and a half ago, I was starting my own business and really didn't know what I was doing, and was amazingly connected to him through BYU, and he just kind of gave me that perspective that I needed to really help get myself on the right track. Now I'm launching my app this month, and he also helped me get a job here. So there you go. That's what mentoring can do for you.
Yeah, that's good. I did not anticipate that. That was not a plant. But I'm super proud of this man. Steve's a really great entrepreneur, and yeah, he is launching his app, his business this month. It's called Bash, and you can plan your events on it and coordinate with them, and it's really a cool thing. So download it. And Jess?
Yeah, I'm Jess from Mothers Without Borders. So I've had a mentor in my professional career last 10 years. And the reason being there's always someone smarter than you. And there's an easy way to learn things and a hard way. And although I tend to like the road less traveled and take the hard way, sometimes it helps to be able to navigate that with someone that's already been down that path. And then I also mentor those that work under me because just as I get value out of learning from someone that's already paved the way for me, I think you need to give back as well. So do both. It works well.
Thank you, Jess. Love that. And we'll hear a little bit more from Jess later. We're going to have her make an announcement at the end of RevRoad University about Mothers Without Borders. But great insights that Jess shares about why she chose to have a mentor and has had a mentor for the past 10 years. You can learn from them. You don't have to make the same mistakes yourself, right? Isn't that one of the biggest reasons? If you're smart, you learn from others. Okay. What I'd like to do now is just look at three simple principles I'd like you to have in mind. One is to seek a mentor. If you're trying to find someone that can help you, not make the same mistakes or make the mistakes the first time and to learn from their mistakes, who do you need to look for? Maybe someone who's done it before. Maybe someone in the same industry that you intend to go into, or perhaps it's someone that if you're looking to be an entrepreneur, talk to someone who has been an entrepreneur, someone who's been down that path. So we have to seek for those folks. I find that seeking them is really important. I speak at a lot of universities. Last week I was at Virginia Tech, and the reason I have a relationship with Virginia Tech is because I was speaking in DC once on entrepreneurship, and I had probably 5 or 10 people come up afterwards and say, "Hey, could you mentor me?" And I always get that request, and I always tell them the same thing. Sure, here's my card. If you follow up, if you set up the meetings, if you actually attend them, if you act on the things we talk about, then we'll do it. And this one young man did that. He was in high school. And so we started doing a mentoring relationship where we would do a mentorship call for half an hour every other Friday morning. And a few months later, and he followed up. None of the other ones did. And a few months later, he started going to Virginia Tech, and then he introduced me to their director of entrepreneurship, and that's blossomed into a really great relationship. That's a good example of seeking. Like, seeking isn't just like asking someone if they'll mentor you. It's actually following through and making sure you do it. Obviously, learn. You can only learn if you act and try and fail and try again and succeed. And so we have to go through that iterative process, and a mentor can help us do that the most effectively. It doesn't mean it eliminates failure. It just means that we have an opportunity to do it with someone who is a good guide and who can help us understand and learn or maximize our learnings. And then lastly, do. And when I say do, I don't just mean do what the mentor has advised. I also mean do what Jess said, which is become a mentor yourself. Like bring that full circle and have that opportunity for others to seek, for you to help learn. Now, today we're going to have a really cool activity that outlines these 3 principles and does it with universal appeal. Anybody like martial arts? Yeah, a few of you? Okay, very cool. Well, we're going to do some today. We're going to learn some about them today. And this is one of my good friends and mentors. This is Rich. Rich has been a mentor to my children, to me. My kids have gone through Omega martial arts for several years and given us a really great opportunity to see into his world and how he helps people not just learn the skills that come with martial arts, but to learn life skills that they can apply with mental toughness and with overcoming challenges and adversity and all the kinds of things you would hope a mentor would do beyond just a skill. So with that, let's welcome Rich Hanks from Omega Martial Arts to the stage.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Derrin. Very kind. And there is a lot of information that I would love to talk to you about. But in the light and with the lens of mentorship, this is something that I feel very passionate about. Okay? In the Omega system and in the program that I teach, becoming a black belt, part of becoming a black belt is your ability and your desire to want to teach. Okay, to want to give back. And I don't say that you have to just voluntarily do everything that I ask you to do. I firmly believe in that what your concept that you were talking about is that, yes, being mentored is important, but then turning around and mentoring is important as well, not necessarily because of the feeling of giving back, but in my world, and I feel like it's very universal, is that you learn the principle that you are teaching way better when you have to pick it apart and teach it to somebody else so that they understand it. And that is one of the secret ingredients of teaching martial arts, is that I'll have them go teach it. If they want to learn it better, I'll say, okay, go teach it to that white belt. Because they have to pick it apart. They have to simplify it in a way that somebody who is brand new has to understand it, and then see and hope that they will grasp onto it. So that's a second reason of being a mentor, is to also for you to grasp the concept of what it is that you're trying to teach a lot better. Now, I have a little story. So recently, I was awarded, and I tested for what's considered a 7th Dan black belt, okay? And it's taken 40 years of martial art training to get to that particular point. And along the way of your black belt progression, martial arts takes on different titles, right? You become a black belt, and every system has different titles. In our particular system, we have Korean titles and Japanese titles. So when you're a black belt, just plain black belt, you're considered what's called a junior chokinam. Chokinam is like a instructor in training, okay? And then you pass through a series of certifications and techniques and levels that you have to pass off. You become what's called a sobanim. Okay, and then you get to what's called a 5th degree. So between like 1st, 2nd, all the way up to 5th degree, there's a lot of years in between each of the degrees, and so I'm simplifying it a lot. 5th degree is considered a master of martial arts, which your title changes to what's called kwanjinim, and then from 5th degree up to 7th degree. 7th degree, you're shihan. So my title changed, and this was an interesting experience for me, and I want to tell you this because my whole life. I had a couple mentors in my life that taught me martial arts. My first mentor was the individual who taught me and brought me to black belt, his name was Bob Davis. No coincidence, he just happened to have a last name Davis, okay? But it was meant to be, because me and my 2 older brothers were the very first students of Omega Karate back in early 80s. When we walked into his studio, we had just watched Karate Kid. And I'd like to say something was mystical that we started martial arts, but we were those kids that watched Karate Kid and were like, we want to be Daniel LaRusso and we want to be taught by Mr. Miyagi. And so we happened to find an instructor who was actually starting a studio just like a week and a half later. And Anyway, long story short, that we walked in on a Saturday morning, 1983. I remember September 6th. We have that date kind of stamped in our heads. And me and my two older brothers were his very first students. And I remember, as a 5-year-old, I remember the feeling that when I walked in the studio. I remember kind of vaguely, but this is a principle of mentorship, is that a lot of things that you say to somebody will probably be learned and maybe forgotten or implemented. But I believe that the feeling that you generate with that person is going to transcend many, many years, that relationship, and how you treat that person. Information will come and go, and how you teach it and how you learn it and how they learn it is important. But I really firmly believe in the feeling that you generate as a mentor. So I remember I walked in, and to a 5-year-old, somebody who's 40 is way old, right? Just like that's just way old. But I remember him kneeling down. In front of me, and he goes, "You want to learn martial arts?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he's like, "If you give it your all, I'll teach you martial arts." And I just remember him, and there was probably other things said that I don't remember, but I remember him looking at me, taking the opportunity to kneel down in front of me and get on my level, right? It wasn't like, "You want to learn martial arts? Okay, get your white belt." I mean, it was kneel down, look me in the eye as a 5-year-old and say, "I'll be your teacher if you want it." Basically, that's what I remember the feeling, or what he said. But I remember the feeling of him looking me in the eye, and I'm like, I think this is where I can trust this individual, okay, because of the feeling that I felt for him. And that blossomed a wonderful relationship for the next many, many years. And now, so to come around for the story, we moved here to Utah about 5 years later. My parents divorced, and we started a school in Payson in 1988, okay? 88, 89, right around there, which is still going. My brother runs it, and my mom continued to progress, and all 5 of us children took martial arts, okay? It was my mom and 5 kids, and that's what we did to stay together as a family. Now, we all grew up, and so did she, and she kept things going, and she became the Shihan of Omega, Utah. Okay, she was the Shihan. She was the president. She was the one that just was the glue to all of it. And so in my mind, when you talked about the title Shihan, that was my mom. And she did a lot for gender equality in the martial art world, because martial arts is predominantly like male driven. There's just like this stigma of just like it's all about this man's world. And she the fire that she had in her, she's like, no. And she did a lot for Utah and for a lot of other states as far as gender equality in martial arts. And but she passed away. That's another story, but she passed away about 6 years ago. And by the time she passed away, she was a 7th degree, and her title was Shihan. And so this year, when you have to wait between degrees about 6 years, 6 to 7 years between every time you advance in rank. Okay, so it's a long time of becoming and being. And so when I was applying to become a 7th degree, there was this really, really difficult experience that I've had because when people thought of, I was now going to become have the title and also the rank of this person, not only just because she's my mom, but this person in whom I respected and revered, and I had to go through this like mental shift. Like, do I have what I feel this mentor and being in my mom? Do I have that skill set? Okay, and there's a lot of doubt, and there was a lot of feelings of just insecurities that way. But I came to a realization. I was like, she has always been a mentor to me, and she has always treated others with that respect. But I also learned from all the many things that every student's master dies, right? Or every mentor and the student becomes that mentor. And you're going to go through that feeling of anxiety or feeling of insecurities of what do I have to give? So both my instructor, Bob Davis, and my mom have passed away. And so what that anxiety came is like, I have to now be the source of martial arts to these students. And what does that mean? To have enough information or have enough knowledge to feel like I can turn around and be a source of martial arts. Because every move, every form, everything, every technique that's derived in martial art was made up or created by some master, right? One technique or some good business technique was formulated by somebody or a group of people. And at some point that was derived and that was created. And people have followed it based on trial and error, experience, good and bad practices. And that's the same thing in martial arts. Everything was trial and error, practice. That doesn't work. That does work. And so, but at some point you have to think, well, what are my original things? What are the things that I have learned as my experience? And so then the concept that I learned is I don't have to be my mom. I don't have to be that type of mentor. Although she was good, but she was good in the way that she was good. I needed to become the best version of me as a mentor. And that to me was what resonated. I didn't have to be her. I needed to be me in the best version possible. So in learning, in the martial art world, how much time do I have, by the way? Okay, perfect. In the martial art world, for me specifically, I don't go out and hire black belts. And this is very different than every other business out there. And some martial arts studios do. I have chosen in our world, in my studio, that I will home grow every one of my black belts. So every one of my black belts that is with me now started as a white belt with me. Okay, and I know that doesn't bring a lot of diversity in that, in a sense, but the diversity that I see is in the personalities and how they go about different problems. But I felt that it was extremely necessary to create this empathy that every instructor has, that they know exactly what every student goes through because in the Omega system, because they have been through it. So that's not a best practice for every business out there, I promise you. But for what I'm doing, it is. It has been. But at some point in time, before I had any black belts, I had to teach everything. I had to do it all. Okay, I had to teach every class. I had to mentor all the students. And it was a very, very busy time. Because in my personal world, I don't teach martial arts as my main business. As I told the last class, martial arts to me is a way that I give back in a way that I don't have to look at a student or somebody walking in the studio and say, those are dollar signs to feed my family. And for me, that works because of the mentality that I go about running this business. It has afforded me the opportunity to apply these business principles and life principles to other businesses that I've started, which does feed my family and all these other things. But martial arts to me is this purity of truly trying to bring people into a safe place to mentor, to teach, and to also provide them skill sets to go out. Very little of what I do is, you're going to learn to kick and punch and be a butt kicker, for lack of a better word, but I'm more interested in the life skills, everything that they are learning. And so for a while there, I had to teach everything, and I had to home grow, okay? But the beauty thing and the gift that I have now is that I don't teach any of the classes anymore. I teach black belts. I teach the black belts. And we have about 50 of them now, which has been awesome. And I've trained hundreds of black belts. And the attrition of martial arts comes and goes. But what I have the opportunity now, and this is, for me, what has been such a gift, is that over the course of time, now I can, if you've ever seen Forever Strong, I can actually just pull people into my proverbial lawn chair and just be like, how you doing? Are you okay? What's your life like? What are you struggling with? What can we do as martial artists to be able to help this? And before, it was always just busy, teaching them kicking and punching and progressing. But to me, the gift of evolution and the gift of longevity and what has happened over time has allowed me to then experience a whole new level of mentorship that I have never experienced before. Because now I can connect. The classes are being taught, and I mentor those instructors to make sure the class is being taught, but then I can walk around and that person needs me, or that person needs me. So I'll pull them in, or it's maybe not a conversation, or maybe we just need to spend 15 minutes in just heavy workout session, just one-on-one with the head instructor. So mentorship takes on many different levels. And in the martial art world, it is a very big part. Mentoring and being mentored is a huge part of the success of any martial arts school. And I feel in business is where you have a culture that when you learn, that you are then expected to turn around and teach other people and give back for a couple of different reasons. For the fact that you are giving what you have been given, and that is a wonderful feeling, and then also to learn what it is that you're teaching better. And so we've got some visuals and some do you want to do that now? Okay. We've got some things that I wanted to do. So if you were in the last class, that's great. You can do it again if you want to. But here's part of me being a mentor to you and doing something that many of you have probably never done, which is break a board. Okay? So we brought some boards here, and let me tell you something. They're not balsa wood. I promise you. They're pine. They are hard boards, and I've broken thousands of these, and I love watching students break these for the very first time. Okay, because there's something that happens. For those of you who are in the last class can attest to this, is that you can hit pads all you want. And those are fun, because if you've never actually hit something, or a pad for that matter, it's actually pretty therapeutic. Okay? But to then take away the pad and then to put actually something in front of you like a board, what happens? Your heart starts racing a little bit. The adrenaline starts going up. Your palms start sweating a little bit, and you're like, can I really do this? And I think everybody broke last class. That was awesome. Okay? Simply because of one reason. All of you have the ability to do this. Okay, and I'm saying this in hypothetical and also in real time for breaking a board, because there's so many things out there that we stop at, and this is the philosophy of why I continue to have board breaking in martial arts and brick breaking, is that fear governs a lot of our lives. Some of you live every single day with certain levels of fear, and that can be paralyzing. Fear of starting a business, fear of doing what you need to do within a business. But whatever that fear is, that can be extremely paralyzing, because you think of the bigger picture. You think of everything that you should be doing or be, and then you stop at the first step to become that. Okay, I told the last class that this is a black belt. This is a piece of cloth. But I can go buy another one and get it embroidered. Okay, the 40 years of martial arts has given me what I consider what makes me the black belt that I am. Same thing with the CEO that you are, or the business owner that you are. You don't just sign a paper, sign a lease, and walk in and say, I'm a CEO. Okay, it's your life experience, everything that you are willing to go through on a day-to-day basis that allows you to become that person and mentor, and then to turn around and give back. But I've taught hundreds, thousands of students how to go through one of these. Okay, and it's all the same. Number one, you have to believe. You got to believe in it. You got to believe that you can, because it hurts a lot worse if you don't go through this. If you go up and hit it and you stop, it hurts a lot worse. But if you go through it, you may have a little scrape and it may sting a little bit, but then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I did it. That was awesome. And there's a sense of exhilaration that you have. But we teach students that this is your obstacle. This is what's placed in front of you. Every single time they belt up, they have to go through one of these with various techniques, with your feet, with your hands, elbows, knees, whatever we ask them to do, okay? Now, how you approach this is also indicative of how sometimes you approach problems in life. Sometimes people come up and they tap it and they're like, it's too hard, I'm going to walk away. Okay, sometimes they come up and they just look at it and you're like, you know what, I don't even want to try. That just looks like it's going to hurt, okay? Or I'm going to try to go around it or underneath it, or I'm going to just try to skirt it, okay? And they just don't do it. Okay, but it's those individuals that walk up and say, you know what, I don't even see the board. I see that I'm going to punch that guy in the chest or kick that person in the chest. They don't even see the obstacle. They know it's there, but they have the skills, the intensity, and the power to be able to go through it. Okay, and that, to me, is a problem-solving experience. And I love to see students go through that in their mind. Like, they walk up, there's a little fear, okay, palms are sweating, adrenaline goes up, but then they do it. And it's awesome. And I've seen, like I said last class, I've seen many experiences where you have grown men that you would expect to go through it very easily, just come up and hack and hack and hack on these things because they think they can just power through without technique and without a little bit of finesse. And I've seen 10-year-old girls go up with the same technique and just go right through it first time. And I've seen that same man walk out the door and never come back because of embarrassment. So the idea of this is just a simple obstacle. And so for me to teach you how to go through is something that Derrin wanted me to kind of talk a little bit about today and give some of you, or if not all of you, we brought a bunch of boards, a chance to break one of these if you wanted to, okay? So with that being said, I want 2 lines, basically, one going that way, out that way, and one going that way, out that way, and we're gonna practice. We're gonna practice how to break it first. I'm gonna teach you the technique, and then we're gonna a couple of you. We have a lot of boards, but not everybody's required to do this. Okay, if you want to do it, it's awesome. It feels good. If you've never done it before, do it. If you have, do it again. If you were in the last class and you want to try 2, right? Try 2 if you wanted to. Okay? But everybody stand up, and here's your first lesson in proper board breaking technique. Okay? How to make a proper fist so you don't hurt yourself. Now, I'm not going to have you punch this way because that takes a lot of skill to be able to hit a board correctly with enough intensity and power through these 2 knuckles. So we're not going to spend time here. I'm going to teach you a technique that provides a greater margin of error so that beginners can make a mistake and you'll still be okay. You're not going to hurt yourself. So everybody make a tight fist, put your hand down, and take your thumb. Don't do this because I see a lot of people... Don't put your thumb on the outside like that, because if you actually do punch, you're going to hit the tip of your thumb here. So roll that thumb underneath and pull your index finger as tight as you can into your fist, okay? Now, instead of punching this way, we're going to pull your hand up, and I want you to squeeze this muscle right here. Squeeze it as tight as you possibly can. That's the muscle that you're going to be breaking with, okay? Now, the technique is called a hammer fist. The hammer fist is exactly how it sounds. You're hammering down. Okay? Now, I love teaching. Part of my role as a martial artist, I feel, in my journey is to teach women's self-defense. Okay? I teach all over the county and I firmly believe, because statistics show that right now, between 12 and 21 years old, we're seeing about 1 in 3 sexual assaults. And it's very scary. And it's not from people standing behind a bush in a mask. It is from people that they know, unfortunately. And so truly empowering, feeling that there is an empowerment that you can have a toolbox, especially with teenagers and women, it's extremely important for me to have that. So anyway, this particular motion, a younger, smaller person, specifically like a woman or a teenage girl, can turn around and deliver that type of a blow to the nose of a bigger male assailant or whatever, and take that nose from here and push it over to their face and leave that person unable to come after them. So, and that is an empowering thing, actually, to be able to know that you have the ability inside of you to actually defend yourself, and that's mental and physical side. Okay, so whatever hand is like dominant, so if you're right-handed, put your left foot forward. If you are left-handed, put your right foot forward, and you're going to hold your hand up. You're going to pull back, and you're just going to treat it like a very, very light whip, okay, like a very easy whip, but at the last second, you're going to tighten up. As soon as you come in contact with these pads, okay, you're going to tighten up. So we're going to hit the pads a few times, and so everybody's going to go through and hit the pads a couple times, and then we're going to, if you want to get back in line and break a board, then we're going to do that. Okay? So you guys come over here, and you guys come over here. Why don't we switch, Derrin? You do this one because we'll swap it. And so just to give you a quick rundown of the technique, watch. So Derrin's going to show us because he's awesome. Okay. So it's nice to hit a pad, okay? So we're going to come up, and we're going to do it. Let's just do it 3 times, and then don't come up and just go. Okay, I want you to do it 3 individual times. You're going to come up and strike, and you're going to yell, okay? Okay? I love it. So there's a couple of different reasons of why we yell in martial arts, okay? Number 1 is because of the nature of a scary situation is you tend to go inside yourself and breathe. You're like, oh, and stop breathing. You're like, I'm really scared, but I'm not breathing. And so you lose. In a stressful situation, you have to continue to keep oxygen to your blood so that you can keep going. So if you're screaming, you're breathing, right? So, hiya! Hiya! Every time you do, I teach women and everybody that you've got to be yelling because I know if you yell, hiya, you got to bring that breath back. So we're gonna yell every single time we do it. Okay, and I know it's self-conscious. I know everybody's like, I don't know what to yell. Like, what am I supposed to yell? Okay, but you just do it because everybody will be doing it. I promise. It's not that bad. Okay. The other thing is everybody has a life force and a chi inside of them, a power. Okay, and if Derrin holds us real quick. And I do a pad, and I strike the pad like this. Okay, that's powerful. Okay, but if I add that chi and that power, that ki, hiya! Okay, there is a physical or a palpable energy that comes from that second one. Okay, and you can be like, ooh, that's different. I didn't put any more power into it. I just brought that other element of the yell into it. Okay, so we're gonna add that yell. So we're gonna look. The drill looks like this. Hiya! Come back. Hiya! Come back. Hiya! And I want you to put as much power as you possibly can. These don't have feelings. Don't hit Derrin or me. We have feelings. But hit the pad, okay? Many of you have never been given permission that it is okay right now to hit this as hard as you possibly can because it doesn't have feelings. It's not going to hit you back, okay? All right, go ahead and line up, and we're going to go through this real quick. All right, so a different level, okay? So we only allow black belts to break bricks. Okay, so I'm gonna pass one around. I'm gonna show you that I promise you they're not foam. So just as much as your mind needs to rest on the fact that there's an obstacle in front of you, it's these levels of obstacles. Like right now, it's okay, board. I can go through wood now, and then all of a sudden we take it to another level at black belt and say, all right, let's go through a piece of cement. Okay, and there's different types of brick breaking, all right? There's power breaking, which generally is what it is, where like you stack them up and you go through it. But I was introduced to more of what's called a chi break a couple years ago, and it's something that I've been trying to focus a little bit more on, which is, I've stacked 7 bricks up and gone through them, and that's not me flexing or anything like that. It's just me saying that you get to a point where it's like you can only go so high on the bricks, right, before they start toppling over. and I wanted to focus a little bit more on a different type of a break, okay, which is the fluidity of emotion instead of like that instant. Okay, you'll see me kind of like go, but I'm gonna kneel, like instead of having my whole power behind me, I'm gonna kneel down. And the motion's just going to be quick. Okay, I'm going to raise, and then from about right here, I'm going to drop and go through. Okay? It's more of that instant flux of adrenaline and chi into one fluid motion. Okay? And as you see there's a couple spacers here. You don't go through, you don't stack them straight because then that'd be like 4 inches of straight concrete, but you do go through individual bricks as you go down. So there's a little spacer in between. So it's not trickery. It's just basically I want to go through 7 bricks and not one big, thick 14-inch or however big the bricks are. Okay? So part of this is gathering that chi. So I'm just going to you're going to hear me breathe a little bit, and then you gather that chi, and then there's going to be an instant where I go. Anyway, my mentor taught me how to do that. And so look for opportunities. I love that model. Seek, learn, do. That's all not in just martial arts, but it is everything that we do. Okay, be a mentor and be willing and humble enough to be mentored also. So thanks for letting me come and present. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rich. That was great. Wow, what a great example. And I just wanted to end with this, and that is you're here today seeking, right? You're seeking to learn something from a mentor. And rather than just talk about what mentors do, I thought it would be good for us to learn something and learn from a mentor. So you've all been mentored today by Rich Davis from Omega Martial Arts. Sorry, I knew that. Words got stuck. So you seek, you learn, and then you do. So thanks to each of you for doing that. Encourage you to keep doing that, whether you're a mentee or a mentor, and hopefully you're both. And with that, we'll turn the time back to Jason.